What's going on, everybody? It is your host, it's your boy McFarline here. We're currently live on Twitch with Reg Mason. We're going to be having a conversation, doing an interview with him about his new single coming out next week on the 21st and his EP Speedway dropping on the 28th. Reg Mason, how are you doing?
I'm feeling great. How about you?
I'm feeling good. You know, we both just sat here in the little pre-interview section, drank some water, took some breaths together, talked a little bit about how the interview is gonna go. I'm excited to be here. I did a whole ritual this morning, to get the skin glowing and everything like that. So I'm feeling good. Feeling good.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah,
So
yeah, you
you
let that melanin show, you know?
exactly. That's what. Listen, Twitch needs it. Okay, the Twitch just needs a whole bunch of everybody of all stripes and colors doing all different types of things. Cause, listen, the man Knowledge once said, "Everybody needs their own corner of the internet," and that really stuck with me ever since I heard that. But so we here to have a conversation about some music you got going on. We got some fans of yours in the chat right here. You've been doing a lot of different things, and it's been really vocal and shown on Instagram, Twitter, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, just a really a smorgasbord, if you will, of like
Yeah.
content and just expression. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's just been a whole bunch of stuff going on with like the group. If anybody in the chat knows, I'm in this group, a collective Vibe World Order,
Hmm.
and we're slated to release an album very soon, along with like just a bunch of solo stuff and side projects, and it's just it's just a whole lot that I want to get into, but we'll get into it in a bit, like
Okay,
later in the interview.
okay. What's coming up first? The solo stuff or the group project?
Well, I guess this kind of counts kind of as like solo stuff. So it's like there's some solo stuff coming down the pipeline first, like
Mm,
some like just to give people a taste of what we have to offer as individuals, and
okay.
then the vibe world or like the group stuff is coming in like quickly after that, you know?
Okay. Yeah. It's, that's a different route. Usually with groups and a group dynamic, they do the group albums first and then they kind of branch off. But I like the vice versa with everybody to see where you take everything and all the growth that everybody has made individually, because not only you and your expression has been shown, but I see a lot of people, everybody in the group just doing, beats, artwork, videos, whatever it may be, they're putting it out there and expressing themselves a lot, which is a lot of fun. So speaking of expression, right? You've been making music for about 10 years plus, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
feel real cool now.
so when you were in high school, I we knew each other and I seen that really cultivate. So tell me about your creative journey when you really decided like this is something I want to do when you were in high school.
Well, the funniest part about that is that like uh, I caught on to wanting to do music like really, really early. Like even when I was maybe 8 or 9, like before that, like I
Mhm.
decided like this is what I wanted to do because my brother Les, his name is stage name is Comfortable Dude. That's what he goes by.
Right.
Who I made this EP with. We were like heavy into the hardcore scene in Jersey in like the mid to late 2000s to like even the early 2010s. So I caught on pretty early that this is what I wanted to do because I was always in a community full of people from like a bunch of different backgrounds and upbringings who like just came together like under this one umbrella, and that umbrella just being good music, you know?
Right.
And even though like my interest in genres has shifted, I still kept that same like vibrancy and like
Mhm.
that same enthusiasm to wanting to make music. And then I started producing age 14, started recording myself age 15,
Right.
but I started writing songs age 10. So
Right.
it's like I started picking up stuff like as I was going. It was gradual, but I basically know how to do like try to make records at home now, and I make records with other people and for other people, and just
Right.
something I'm so proud of.
Do you remember that moment where you kind of caught that bug of like, okay, I know music is what I'm gonna do?
Ironically, first time I ever seen School of Rock
Really?
was like
Okay.
4 years old.
That I was not expecting that one at all. I thought you were gonna be like, brother gave me this album, and then we went to the concert, and I was like, yeah, I got School of Rock. Though. I mean, that's valid. Shout out Jack Black.
But yeah,
So,
at least like when it comes to like how interested I was in music, like School of Rock was definitely like the small seed. But the first, I guess like the first album that I ever heard that made me be like, okay, yeah, no, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life now, was this band, this alternative band. I think they were from PA, very underground, called Envy on the Coast,
mhm,
and the album was titled Lucy Gray. Yeah, Lucy Gray by Envy on the Coast,
okay,
and they were just like very alternative. Like they could basically make any type of record that they wanted to. Like you got melodies, you got distortion, you got heavy. So, like they were heavy, but they were also delicate. So it was like that was my first like look into like what music could be.
mhm,
And the first album that I got was basically just everything. Like everything that you could ever imagine, everything that you could want from a band. Like they left no stone unturned.
right.
So I guess I kind of took that on and applied that to everything that I've been making like from here on out.
Okay. So when you got older, right? Obviously that love for music matured, and when you got to that point in high school where like you could not only do this for yourself but cultivate people around that, what was that adjustment like?
Oof. I mean, it kind of just honestly, it fell all into place.
Mhm,
Like I never really tried to force it. Like I kind of had this rule that if you were a friend of mine, no matter who you were, like if you walked into my house, like you had to
mhm,
kind of bless the mic. Like I had to get some recording of you
right.
in some form or fashion, and that was like basically my way of like inviting you into, I guess, my life, my house is like my friendship, because we make all of our music at home. Like we don't ever, there's not a single song that we've had that we finished inside of a studio. So a
Right.
lot of our records is just like just homegrown. Like there are some records where you can like hear somebody playing video games in the back and stuff like that. So it's like there's like a real sense of pride in like what we're doing. But as far as cultivating people and getting them together, that just fell into place easily because I've always just been me unapologetically,
Mhm,
and people just like to, I guess, people just gravitate towards that, you know?
right. Okay. So after high school, right? Because there was a decent amount of things that you were doing in high school, and I think you were really testing the waters of your abilities. But after high school, it seems like there was exponential growth, especially with the dynamic of cultivating people and it coming so naturally. It seems like there was really an exponential growth, and I seen you performing a lot at the V Files and doing Battle of the Bands, and just outside of those things, even just performances, at wherever you could do performances. What was it like transitioning from high school to being where like this is it, this is the time, and what did you do during that time? How did you even end up in a lot of those positions too?
Uh, I guess I just had like a couple people that I always just kept tabs on that built like true friends with. Like, I don't know. I just kept showing up to places. Like, you can't really get anywhere like and like build like real life relationships with people without just like showing up. Whether it's something as simple as showing up here, like people in the chat right now, it's like they're showing up just to hear our conversation and
Right.
just to get an inside scoop on what it is that we're both doing, you know? Like I feel like there's so much power just in being able to just show up for the cause, you know, support it. And but that transition from high school, I mean, there was a couple of times where I wasn't necessarily sure if it was gonna work out. Like it was very minuscule, like in the grand scheme of things, because like I knew that I always wanted to do music,
Hmm.
but as far as like the V files, like Battle of the Bands, and all those opportunities, like I just kept showing up, like, or I just kept. I just there was never a moment in time where I like turned down showing somebody my music or showing somebody what I was doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna like shove it in your face or anything like that, but if the time was right, I just trusted in what the universe was giving me, and the universe placed me in a lot of those positions just because I like to believe that the universe saw that this is what I was doing and I wasn't letting anything interrupt me or get
Mhm.
in between that. So that's all just dials right back to like it just falling into place
Place.
for me.
Okay. So with that and still everything falling into place, do you think there were any moments, or what was a moment that you were like, you just were super discouraged and you just couldn't find a way out or the light at the end of the tunnel?
I think I only really considered like not doing music anymore like once in like the past like 10 plus years of doing it. And that was right after I released my very first like independent album titled Dayton Convoy.
Hmm.
And it just didn't do what I thought it would do. Like I didn't really know what to think. Like it did all right, like locally speaking, but I wasn't ending up in anybody's playlist or anything like that. And I just took a long while to like really sit down and look at why it wasn't doing what it was doing. And it's like just basically allowing myself to be honest with me as an artist and like how I could grow from that.
Hmm.
I was like, hey yo, keep it a being with yourself, Reg. Like the album's bloated, it's mad long. There's like 2 7-minute songs on here. It's just like you didn't do any editing. And the conclusion that I came to with that album in particular is just that I didn't do that album for me. I did it for other people. And what I mean by that is that like I basically made that album to prove that I was capable of making an album and still being a high school student. So
Right.
it was like a sense of like validation in a way that I was chasing, and it led to me making music that I wasn't really proud of, and that followed on for like a couple more projects, and then I eventually stopped and was just like, you know what? Wait a minute. Like this isn't who I am. Like I gotta tap back into square one and then just start all over.
Yeah.
So that was the only time where I was like, yeah, I'm not even sure if this is even something that I should be doing
Yeah. You know,
when I was making music for people.
that there's a lot of good stuff in there because I think being a rapper, being an artist, being whatever you want to be, if it involves creativity, you have to have that moment in some way, shape, and form where you basically put a mirror in front of yourself and say, what am I doing? What am I trying to be? Who am I trying to communicate with? And who am I communicating this for? So I think it's really cool and really big of you, especially at that age in high school where you're trying to do something that takes so much focus. High school and making an album take, I mean, different types of focus, but the same amount of focus, and trying to split your focus between those two things while simultaneously, you know, reflecting on yourself after the fact. That's really that. Honestly, that's a superpower, and I think with that being said, that shows up a lot in your recent EP because a lot of the songs I feel the want to put out the emotion that you really, I feel the want for people to come out of this and be like, I know exactly how he was feeling. I relate to that. Even if they don't, they still want to know more about that particular emotion and feeling. And there's definitely tracks on there that people can just sit down and relate to. And like I said, put that mirror in front of themselves and even if it's a relationship, even if it's, a body of work, school, what it is you feel like you're gonna end up doing, that ability to reflect is in that, which I think is a huge deal and a huge accomplishment on your end, and shows a lot of the growth and being able to do things like the V files and thinking to yourself, hey, I just got to continue to show up and putting yourself in a position where you have a group of people around you that seem like they can be extremely honest with you. So talk to me a little bit about the Vibe World Order dynamic and when it comes to making music and you're like, yo, I got this track, I got this beat. Talk to me about that dynamic.
Oh man, no, that's a whole saga in a way. But So basically, just to give you the rundown, like Vibe World Order as a collective, it started out as a trio initially between me, Comfortable Dude, and Guinea.
Mhm.
And because we were all in a collective prior to this called Lost World, and it just didn't do what we wanted it to do. Like we couldn't really find ourselves, we couldn't really identify with it, and so that quickly like dissolved, and then Vibe World Order became like its own thing. And I just knew Guinea just from being like just from high school. Like I met him like 2-3 days into my freshman year, and he was literally the only other person probably in the entire neighborhood that was also trying to rap,
Mhm.
or at least was also trying to rap and like knew that he was good at least. So yeah, we just hung out. Like we would meet up at Fiore d'Italia, the pizzeria right down the street, every single day, and we would just write bars like all the time. And then over time, Julian, also known as Groovy, he came into the mix and then basically opened his arms up and embraced us into like his friend group. And the majority of the collective, because we're like a 7-8 piece or whatever,
Yeah.
came from that. So it was the majority of it. It was just high school. Like we were all actually friends, and I was already recording the majority of the people who showed up to my house anyway. It was always open. The mic was always hot for anyone, and just over time, like summer after summer, people kept coming back with more ideas, and I wasn't gonna tell them no.
Mhm.
You know, they're my friends. So like, yeah, it just so happened that everybody in the group was like naturally artistically inclined, basically. Like they were already talented.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the resources to, shine a light on that. So I'm just really glad that I was able to give them the space to be able to express themselves musically. And next thing you know, we made a song. 5 of us are on it. And we were like, oh, this sounds pretty great. We should keep doing this. It wasn't even like a thing or like let's be a band. Like I said, everything was natural. Like, oh yeah, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should shoot a video just for like shits and giggles. And then next thing you know, um, that video gets into the hands of somebody at Afropunk, and we're playing our first gig at the Battle of the Bands.
Okay. Okay. And what was that like? What was being at the Battle of the Bands? What was the competition like? How did you feel winning?
It was really surreal. Because for a lot of us, the majority of the group, that was like their first show ever.
Okay.
And our third show ever was Afropunk, like was a full festival. So
Yeah.
it's like we don't it's like me, like Les, he's done like a bunch of shows just from like him being in bands. I've done a good fair amount just from doing solo stuff. So it's like everybody else, like that was their first time ever having like a microphone in their hand. That was the first time like just being on stage for a good amount of us. So I was terrified for them. I mean, I was good. I know I was going to show up and do what I have to do, but uh it was just, I don't even know. I couldn't even bring it into words for how they would experience it, but it was definitely a lot of anxiety. Like we don't really remember the summer of Afropunk because we spent
Fair.
the
Fair.
entire summer just like anxious as shit, like just like, oh my gosh, like, you know.
hmm So when you said you had performed before, so had Comfortable Dude. When that dynamic, how does the dynamic of Vibe World Order handle hardships and creativities and, maybe creative ruts or just anything like that? Just how does the dynamic work when it comes to discussions and how do you use that to your advantage?
That's actually a really, really good question. Everybody has their own way of kind of dealing with like roadblocks and hardships. Um, some people get discouraged quicker than others, but for the most part, I mean, we lean on each other whenever anything goes left. So it's not like a super duper crazy thing. We don't ever really get down on ourselves. If that's like a good answer
Right.
or something. I mean, I don't want to get like too specific, but basically whenever something doesn't go our way, our answer to anything is just like, okay, just put out better content. Like just put out better music. Like we're not really going against or competing against anybody because the foundation that we're on is already the ground floor. Like Jersey, we don't really have the best scene, you know? Like we
Yeah.
don't really have the most rampant scene anyway.
Or
So
we're
it's
really
kind of
only
like
known for Jersey club music. So
exactly. So we're dealing with so it's like underdogs dealing like coming from an underdog background and an underdog state. Like everything about it, like we're neighbors to the birthplace of hip hop. So it's like we're already kind of like
yeah.
we have a good amount of work to do. So we're used to getting our hands dirty and just putting our heads down and just doing the work. Like
Right.
that's always been uh, how we fix our problems.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about the New Jersey music scene, because in the past couple years, including your group, I've seen people, you know, really like just making a lot of moves with either experimental music or, production, and seeing that we do have a lot of roots to some pretty important people in the industry from New Jersey. So, do you think we have excelled as a whole? Do you think that there's a stint right now? What do you think about it?
Uh, I think there's definitely like a few outliers who's like really is making major strides and like really representing for Jersey. But I think the thing that's keeping like the New Jersey scene from like really popping off, I think it's resources as far as finding places to perform. Like finding places to perform is such a hassle because like New Jersey, just like its purpose, it's kind of like the state that you go to retire from New York. So
Yeah,
it's like trying to make something happen similar to New York, like trying to find opportunities out here is just really really difficult. So it's like a lot of the time you end up might having to throw a show at somebody's house. You might end up having to pack out a cafe or a coffee shop or something. But so in a way, just in how Jersey moves and maneuvers, it's like despite the lack of resources that we have, um, we kind of have to do our own thing, like in a DIY sort of way. Like you're not gonna be able to, you know, get an editor in a publishing company to, put out this book. So I'm gonna just grab a stack full of napkins and write all my thoughts out and push that shit myself.
right.
That's how I see Jersey,
Hmm.
just very DIY. But as a scene, there are tons of acts and artists that are like really making a way, but we need more resources in order for us to be thriving
Right,
because we've been bubbling for years.
right. So I got a couple follow-up questions with that.
Okay.
First, do you think that DIY aspect of it, right, is a part of the charm of New Jersey and the music that is coming out of it? Because, being able to do something yourself is difficult. No matter what, you starting from the bottom, whether it's a hobby, whether it's something that you want to do seriously, it's difficult. And having the ability to do something in a DIY fashion, I think adds just this different sort of polish over everything, to be able to think like, okay, this is my idea. I made this in my comfortable space and area, and nobody with any higher power has tried to tamper with that. So do you think that's a part of the charm of it at all?
Yeah, definitely. I take a lot of pride in being able to do things myself, but sometimes I'm not going to say it's to a fault because everything that I've done up until now myself has been out of necessity. Like I wasn't really planning on being a producer. but nobody around me made beats.
Right.
So that's just something that I had to do. I wasn't planning on being a mixing engineer, but everybody around me was trying to go to the studios. Nobody was trying to make records at home.
Right.
So that's just something that I had to do. I just feel like that's kind of built in to Jersey, like in a way. I didn't really feel like I had a choice. Like if I wanted to get my idea out properly, nobody is going to execute that better than you can, you know? So I definitely do agree that it is part of the charm, like that whole do it yourself mentality with Jersey. Um, I mean, I agree. Like, hopefully, somebody could maybe it'll be me. Like, hopefully, somebody could like do it themselves to a point where it's like, okay, we're up here now. Like, we're in the majors. People are seeing us. Let's get back down to the little guy
Yeah.
because it's like literally like 2-3 days ago, I was right down here and now I'm up here. Like, I'm not gonna forget.
Right. So my second follow-up question, and then after this question, we're going to get into the EP because you said something that related to one of the questions that I have. What do you think is lacking? What do you think New Jersey? What's the one thing right now you could give to New Jersey that you think will put it onto the map? What is that?
Uh, Venues, bro.
Hmm.
Venues. Like
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I can think of. Like if you're not performing at like a college, you're
Yeah.
performing at like a coffee shop. And
Or
it's like,
one of those huge event you performing at MetLife or something, like not even, somewhere that's within and this is no disrespect to anybody, but it's not within reach for an independent artist. Oh no, we lost Reg, disconnected. Yeah, let's keep it rolling and let's talk about the EP. Okay. You just spoke about before wanting to be the person that is, able to come back and put your people on, you do what you need to do for your people and put them in positions that you want to see them. Um, and on the EP, when I was listening to it before, you said a lyric. I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit. You said, "Dropping every year, best believe I'm gonna blow up." And I
yeah.
thought, is that something he really wants to do? Do you really want to drop a project every year?
In one way or another, yeah. Like or something like that. As long
Right.
as it's something that I could be proud of, yeah.
Mm,
Because a lot of my favorite artists, they have like mad side projects. If they don't drop like a solo project every year, they're always working on something, and that's something that I personally pride myself on.
right.
Um, and that's not to say that like, oh yeah, like I feel obligated to drop something every year, but it's just that I've been so quiet for such a long time, like in my own right. This would be my first proper release in 3 years. So it's like, all right, now it's officially time. Like we're in survival mode now. Like you are going to see me for who I am, and I'm gonna get everybody's asses in these seats, like one way or another. So I'm
Right.
just gonna keep hitting them with as much quality content as I can.
Right. But honestly, the good content is really what it's all about, and it's what brings the people in. So it really sounds like something lit a fire under you, right? If you want to talk about that a little bit, go for it. But my question is, what is inspiring this want to just say, hey, this is who I am? Especially on this EP specifically, what is really inspiring? Because you cover a range of emotions. You cover a range of emotions. You cover a range of styles, and you take a range of risk as well. Um,
Yeah.
so what is really driving you to go in that direction?
Huh. That's a really good question. I don't know. I guess that's kind of always been who I was in a way. Like I wasn't the type of person to base my value off of like what other people thought. Like I was always just about just be yourself unapologetically because there's people around here who aren't doing that and they're absolutely miserable, you know? So I mean, if I feel like if there's like one specific event that I could detail it back towards when I was like, where I was like, you know what, no, like forget everything. Like this is what I'm doing. Like that, like really refocused me. Um, I guess when we got signed, like a few months afterwards, like
Mhm.
it wasn't really doing
After
what.
Afropunk?
Yeah, yeah, because VWO, the group, we got signed to Plus One Records,
Okay.
and like we did Afropunk in August. We got signed officially in May.
Okay.
So yeah, it was like roughly like around there. Like the pandemic started. As soon as we were about to get stuff rolling and doing all this stuff, play all these shows, everything shut down. And so I had a really long amount of time to just kind of sit with myself and just really think about and iron out what is it about me, not as an artist, but as a human that I'm not really a fan of, something that I could work on. And I guess like basically to like wrap this answer up, I just found myself really exhausted with my old self and like a lot of the things that I used to think was okay and cool when I was like 17 is just doesn't really simmer well
Yeah.
when you're like 21 going on 22. And I was just ready for the next chapter of me.
Mhm.
So kind of in a way, I kind of reached an epiphany where it's like, oh wait, I don't have to be this person forever. You know, like
Right.
I can always make a change. And then I looked at my Spotify numbers and my Apple Music numbers, and I was like, you know what? I bet I could triple this if I literally just put out some music. Put out like really, really good content and like something where I'm really, really trying. And so that's just something that I put on myself. I was like, you know what? Every single time, I'm not going to talk all the time, but every single time I make a statement, it's going to be potent and it is something that you're going to leave with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what kind of inspired it.
Yeah, I think when you reach 21, when you're able to buy yourself a drink and you do it, your whole like you are just like, wait a second, I can't operate in the same, scope or spectrum that I was operating in before when I was like you said 16, 17. Because I remember myself, um, when I was turning 22, I'm gonna be 23 next month actually, which is crazy. When I was turning 22, I kept saying to myself, like, I want this year to be different. I want 22 to like be this, like just my summer constantly. You know what I mean? Like it's just a feeling of summer constantly. And I'm not gonna lie to you, 2020 obviously, and then being 22, it was hard as shit. It was not easy. It didn't go the way I like was asking the universe to, for it to go. But it went a way where I was able to learn, and at this point, being ready to go on 23, I could literally look back and be like, I got a lot to show for 22 years old, and that was what it was really important for me. So I completely understand your point of, I want to be different. I'm not okay with how I used to be and how I am now, and I want to change that. So it makes me happy to hear, and it inspires me to hear that you were able to do something like that and have that epiphany for yourself. Um, so with the pandemic, with the record deal, or with the record label signing that deal and recording this project, how did the pandemic interfere with this specific EP?
Honestly, it didn't really have much to do with the pandemic at all because Speedway is the EP. It's it's like a taste, like a slight sampler of this full album that I'm doing down the line with Comfortable Dude,
Right.
called Brothers, because that's my blood brother
Hmm.
and everything. So I mean, Ola in particular, which is the second track on the EP, I did that maybe 2 months into the pandemic. And then a lot of the other tracks I've done very, very, very recently.
Hmm.
So, and that was when everything kind of chilled out.
Hmm.
So it's like the majority of when the pandemic was starting, um, like we were figuring out everything going on with the record deal. So I was just really zoned in on what was going
Focusing.
on with the group
Right.
stuff. So this is the first time in a while that I got a chance to actually sit down, sit back, and be like, "Oh, okay, I have time for me now.
Right.
All right, let me make sure that the next thing, the very next statement that I say is like balls to the wall, like, but also kind of like brave and something that people can leave with, just potent.
Yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
that's the only
You
word
know
that's
what?
in the
Yeah.
mind.
That's the perfect way to put it. It really is potent. It does leave this like essentially, not it doesn't leave a bad taste in your mouth at all. It really leaves you with like a sample, like you said, of what's to come. So why split this EP? Why give a sampler and call it Speedway? What's the significance in that title? And why is it so drastically different from the album that that's going to be called Brothers?
Um, well, Speedway is kind of a I guess you could call it like a metaphor for like running from your old self in a way. Because a good amount of the tracks, like I did 2 or 3 records with Les, and then I produced like like a couple.
Mhm.
The reason why I wanted to do like a sample sized thing in particular was because I don't really have a project that I'm proud of front to back yet. That doesn't reside on like SoundCloud or something like that, you know?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I just really wanted to show my range and my variety while also respecting people's time, especially in this current climate of like everybody's like eating up music, like all this fast food music. I wanted to kind of play into that and have it be like sort of fast paced, like a moving car. So it's like
Yeah.
Speedway, but also while respecting your time, giving you something that
Mhm.
that stays with you for a while. So that's why I wanted to do something smaller.
So is this any indication of what Brothers may look like? Is there gonna be sections where it's just you? Is there gonna be sections where it's just comfortable dude? Is there gonna be sections where you come together? Is that any indication of that?
Oh well, we doing the whole thing front to back together.
Okay,
It's
okay,
like me and Les, we the second, third coming of Doom and
okay,
Madlib, man. Like,
okay.
this is a big one.
Yeah,
You know?
okay. And were they your inspirations for Speedway and Brothers?
Honestly, bro, like me and Les's taste in music are just so ridiculously like not,
Yeah,
like disproportionate.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like there's a good amount of I guess you could say like I was influenced by like Danny Brown for for a couple records, like both on Speedway and Brothers.
right.
Um, I was listening to like the Beach Boys a lot for some
Okay.
reason to like get ideas. I had to do like harmonies and stuff. Um, what else? Like there was just like Foo Fighters, My Chemical Romance,
Okay.
like just I don't know. One thing I will say though is that like Speedway is we wanted to make Speedway so that it's something that could be played during like warmer weather, and Brothers is way more nocturnal and like made to reside like in the nighttime because Les's production in particular is very, I guess you could say like it's atmospheric, but it's also cold.
Hmm.
So like there's there's a good amount. We lean heavy into one direction with Brothers, and we kind of like stay on that, you know.
Okay. So is Speedway something that you're gonna stick with, or is this the start of a series? Can we expect Speedway 2? You know?
Honestly, it really depends on how like if the demand is there for it. If people are asking for it, then who are we to say no? You know, it
Okay.
will definitely come back.
Okay. And what I mean, I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and you don't have any expectations, but what is something that you want the listeners to take from the potency of this EP?
Oof, oof. Yeah, you coming with the fire
Listen,
questions.
listen, listen, listen. If you look behind me, hold on, where I can I if you look behind me, that's a degree in journalism up there, all right? And I work for okay, the internet's busiest music nerd. If I wasn't hitting you with the hammer, okay, what would we be doing here?
Can't be mad at it. Amen. But I'm sorry, wait, what was the question again?
So, what do you want people to take away from the potency of this EP?
Ooh.
And
For
if
some
you
reason
it,
it hit even harder when
the
you asked me that. It
second,
was like, wow. Okay.
listen, the next
Um
questions go ahead too. I'm gonna just get it. All right. I hope you're sitting down and you got your socks on. Okay.
okay. I guess something that I want them to take away from this, if I can inspire anybody to just, I don't know, I guess because there's a song in particular in here where I get like pretty vulnerable and I
Hmm.
just like
Yeah.
basically
Yep.
look at like what's been bothering me like square in the face. Not to be like melodramatic or anything like that, but that's
Yeah.
basically like what I'm doing. I'm like recording myself where I'm like just waking up fresh off of like a nightmare or
Hmm.
something and I'm recording like my very first thoughts. And then I'm taking like that ugly side of me and I'm making it into music. Uh so I guess just what I will ultimately want somebody to take away from this project is to just be okay with discomfort because if things are kind of if you're in a state of discomfort, then all that does is force things to get better. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah. You're right. I
it's
agree
like
with that.
that inspires movement.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. That really just came full circle. Speedway is coming out May 28th. Make sure y'all go listen to that. I do have more questions. I just wanted to say that because you said movement, Speedway. It just sounded. um. So my next question, right? And if you need me to repeat
Yeah.
anything, let me know. And if you need a second, take it. So on this EP, you weren't afraid. Yeah, it was clear that nothing really was out of your reach or out of bounds or scared you to try, right? From lyrics to emotional, like you spoke about, you really seem to have claimed that creativity, right? So just
Yeah.
walk me through how it took, what it took for you to claim that creativity, claim your voice, and put it out on this EP.
Um, okay. I think what I'm inspired by adversity a lot. That's like a huge inspiration for me. Like when things don't go my way, I think it's so sick. Like a lot of people will be like, "Oh damn!" Like, and they'll get like all discouraged. But it's like, yo, like people seem to forget that like me and Les in particular, like we come from like a scene that is like comprised and overflowing with people whose lives could have gone one particular way, but it's just not right now.
Hmm.
And they're taking that adversity and they're making it into art and making it into something beautiful. And I don't think that I would have gotten that had I have had been exposed to any other background. So there was just a lot going on in like my personal life in particular and a fair amount of adversity that I was dealing with. And uh just me being old me, I can't really make art when everything's going okay,
Yeah.
which is kind of like terrible
No,
in a way.
I see what you're saying though. I get it.
Yeah. But things were not okay. And that packaged with, I was noticing little things in my performances, like I wasn't really inspired. We would be playing some like VWO records for people, and like everybody would love this specific person's part, and they would love that part. But then when it would get to me, they would kind of just like sit back in their seat and just be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," and I'd just be like, "Okay,"
Hmm.
like, but me being me, adversity, I would just see that and be like, oh, all right. Like I would just take that as like something from the universe, like telling me like,
Yeah.
hey yo, you haven't been on it. You need to kick up, bro. So I just kind of saw Speedway as like a challenge. Like, how can I show that I'm capable of doing more than just rapping? Like, and not just rapping one specific way. Like, I'm not doing like flows like Twista or anything like that. Like, no,
Mhm.
like I'm capable of rapping, singing, sampling, doing production, like calling out to other people to come handle production too.
Mhm.
Like that's just my ultimate like inspiration, like adversity. Like because when something is pushing back against you, that's just a chance to just
Yeah.
try and
Do
muster
something.
up the
Yeah.
courage and the strength, the internal strength within you to just push back and just like kick that door down. Especially being from Jersey, it's like you can't get anywhere without having that kind of attitude.
You really can't. If you want to do something and you don't have the energy to do it yourself, don't do it at all. Because New Jersey is not built for you to like, it's not gonna give you the growth you want to see. It's not gonna put the people in front of you that you need to because it's like spread out but close together. It's a different conversation, but I definitely see where you're coming from. And it's interesting when artists themselves talk about adversity being the inspiration, and it's interesting when artists acknowledge the fact that sometimes creativity comes out better in pain, which is it's like weird. It's because I completely understand where you're coming from. I find myself sitting here trying to make beats, and when I really had that connection between my emotion and communicating that, and the emotion being something that was heavy on me, it was like it just puts you in this place of like a bittersweet euphoria, and it's just interesting to hear because it's been coming up a lot in a lot of different conversations, especially with interviews and with Anthony, where artists just talk about how the pandemic weighed on them and they wanted to talk more about depression, or, they weren't going to be so hard on themselves about including
Oh
mental
yeah.
health and taking that time to step back and make sure they remedy those things, which in turn has like inspired me to be like, okay, I need to take care of myself. I need to go outside. I need to stretch. I need to, like even like simple things when you're in a headspace, like simple things like showering become tough. So when you're able to like take all of that and all that pressure that's on yourself that's affecting you and putting that in music, it's a really fun and beautiful thing. So before we move on, I want to just open up the chat to any questions that y'all have, any viewer questions y'all want to ask Reg, anything y'all are curious about. Reg, I want to thank you for also just taking the time out to sit and talk with us. I know you probably got a lot going on, a lot of business to handle, but I want to say I'm really, really proud of you, and I'm really happy to see how everything is going for you. This EP, listen, I'm so excited for people to hear it because there's so many different highlights on it, and one of my favorite highlights is like usually it's like a call to action essentially. Which is it's not really a call to action, but the way I just perceived that, I just want you have this vocal inflection and you yell on the track, and it sounds like a mix of Danny Brown and Ferg, and like I just want to match that energy. I was listening to it on the train, and like I just wanted to, because I listened to it twice when I was on the train, and I just wanted to like scream that part, because it was just so visceral and like in your face, and I really enjoyed that. So I can't wait for people to see that progression of the first track to the end and how you just present all these ideas that you just spoke about. We do have a question from Stigil. Stigil's asking, what's your favorite track on Speedway, both you and Rich? So you could go first, Rich.
Ah man. Uh I have to really sit and think
I
about that.
think I think I got mine, but you can still go 1st.
I'm gonna probably say because it changes every day, but there's this one specific record that we did called Mad at You. And I just want to say shouts out to my brother,
Yeah.
uh Curtis and everything. Curtis Grayson, he played organ on the track.
Hmm.
And I felt like that was the emotional crux of like the entire project kind of packaged into one.
Hmm.
So yeah, the interlude called Mad at You. So
Yeah.
probably that.
You want to know something? That was the track that I was gonna say. I was gonna, because I listened to the EP before the interview, and that track just like it just grabbed me, yo. I had to like I just really had to step away while it was playing because of the way it grabbed me and the way like one thing that I didn't bring up that I actually am remembering now, the maturity in your voice. You got this, your voice got a little bit deeper. There's this grit to it that just adds this nice extra layer to every track. And I can't wait to like honestly see you age and see your voice change with that and how you put that on the raps because I think that is like one of the best parts of the whole thing is seeing, um, it's just seeing that grit come out of your voice just naturally, you know?
Yeah,
So
I think
have
life did that to me more than like me getting older, low key.
say that again. Say that first part again.
I said I think life did that to me more than like getting older, low key.
Listen. However it happened, it benefited you, okay, and it's gonna continue to benefit you because I think you could honestly. There's space for you to even go grittier if you wanted to, which is it would really be a different style at that point. But I think the way that you executed it on the EP really like help you stick to your guns of certain tracks and certain moments on the EP. We got another question actually from Comfortable Dude. When did you know you wanted to make an album with Comfortable Dude? And did you know it would become what it is now?
Uh, okay,
It's a
okay.
good question. It's a good question,
Suspicious person who obviously isn't a comfortable dude.
right?
But I don't know. I was riding around with my brother Les like in the car, and he was just playing a bunch of beats one day, and I was kind of thinking like, all right, like I released an album like at this point like a year and a half ago. Um, I didn't really know what Les was up to at the time, like project wise. So I don't know, like randomly, like I almost felt like I didn't say it, but I was just like, hey yo, we should make an album together.
Hmm.
Because I always operate the best when like spontaneous ideas get introduced because that's when I'm like the most excited, you know. So I mean, I don't know. It kind of I guess it was always meant to happen because like
Hmm.
me and Les got really close over music. Like that's what like really helped our bond as like brothers like really begin to flourish, and we got to understand each other as individuals and people and where we came from. So in a way, I knew it was always kind of going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen this soon, honestly, and I didn't know that it would become like this. I honestly thought like he was just going to hand me like a hard drive of like 10 beats and be like get to work, and then I would get to work and then it would just be that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really proud of both Les and like how this EP in particular came out to be, and I really think that this holds power to like change people's lives.
Yeah.
That's the type of music I've always wanted to make.
Yeah. I definitely think that you struck that chord of like you said, it's potent. And when something's potent, it sticks with you. I think people are gonna run this EP back, a couple times, and if not the whole thing, a couple songs or because there's some hype stuff on there, and there's some stripped back, and
Yeah.
there's some bars, and there's some good production. So I think you don't have anything to worry about, in my opinion, when it comes to it sticking with people and them taking stuff from it because you did a really good job. I can't even like deny you, especially a third listen through. Um, Comfortable dudes are a good answer. I think this is gonna be the last viewer question we take. This is from Tito Got Coins. He says, "You're really into a lot of different music, it seems. You ever feel limited by what you know and can do right now? Is there any style of music you want to try out, but you're discouraged to try?"
I was that's good too. I don't know. It's kind of difficult to say because when I was getting into music, I kind of did rap last. So I kind of got all the complex, all those phases where it's like I listen to nothing but like screamo and like heavy metal and all that other stuff. Like I did all that in like indie like first because I knew that like low key, it might sound crazy, but just like me being black, I'm gonna be surrounded by hip hop anyway. So
Yeah.
I might as well just save it for when I'm like actually interested in getting
Yeah,
into
that's
it.
fair. That's fair. I've been thinking a lot about that too.
Yeah, I was like, hip hop ain't going nowhere. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, when I was a middle schooler, I was listening to wild stuff. I was listening to like Def Cab for Cutie,
Hmm.
Bjork,
Okay.
um, what else? It was just like a bunch of like random stuff, like and like My Chemical Romance, and like then I was starting to get into like super duper heavy stuff like Winds of Plague and maybe like Sabbath and Slipknot and stuff. So it was a lot. Like the spectrum is wide, but I've always wanted to get into making like straight up pop music or straight up soul music
Listen, pop
just to
music.
see, yeah, just like getting into like
Yeah.
melodic based stuff, even like indie. I love a whole lot. There's a lot of indie darlings that like I'm like big fans of, but as far as any styles of music that I want to try out, but I'm discouraged by, I don't I don't really get I can't get discouraged only because I see everything as an experiment, you know. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Avenged Sevenfold, how did you know? That was one of my favorite bands back then. How'd you even know? But yeah, I don't know. Just don't even get discouraged. Just try it out. See everything as an experiment.
Yeah.
And if it goes right, then it's a happy accident. If it goes wrong, it's an experiment. So it's
Exactly.
like who even cares? You don't have anybody to please but yourself.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
go ahead, try out and try sing, rap, do whatever.
And have fun with it while you do it. Reg,
It's
it's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you. I'm glad we got to sit down and talk about the EP. I'm glad I got to ask you my questions. I got a ton more insight on everything that you just did. I'm excited. I want to speak to the rest of Vibe World Order, okay? I know some of y'all are in here. Hit my line. I'm gonna hit y'all. I want to talk to everybody, okay? I want to get more interviews going. We're gonna be here. Once again, Reg, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. Single Ola coming out May 21st, and then you got the
yes.
EP coming out the 28th. So
Yes.
listen, stay tuned, keep it locked. I'm gonna hit y'all with the command Reg, and I'm gonna talk to you, Reg. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here. Thank you to everybody who's in the chat right now. And yeah, love y'all.
Yo,
Take care.
love you too, Reg. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching this interview on my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. If you would like to see more, go to twitch.tv/McFarlane. And I'll see you on the next video.